Hi, welcome to Polyphonic Press. I'm Jeremy Boyd.
I'm John Van Dyke.
And today we're going to be talking about how certain festivals don't allow their artists to play within the city limits 45 days prior or after the festival. Here we go. Alright, so first of all, apologies for the poor quality video, but the battery in my camera actually died, so we're using my iPhone right now. It's better than nothing, trust us. But basically what's happening is North by Northeast is a citywide music festival that happens in Toronto. It's sort of like Canada's version of South by Southwest. And
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And so basically they sent out a press release or they're basically in the contract when you sign up for the festival is you're not allowed to play anywhere within Toronto. I don't know what the radius is, but I think it's within a couple 100 kilometers at least. But basically, you're not allowed to play in that area 45 days prior or after that festival. Now, they since revoked that. Basically, there was a petition going around and they said, you know, this really isn't fair to the performers, this isn't fair to the people actually playing the festival, especially the smaller bands who make their living playing music.
Bigger bands it probably doesn't affect at all, but yeah, smaller bands who make their living doing this sort of thing, well, they're not going to go a month without eating.
Yeah, exactly. But North by Northeast is not the only festival that does this, and actually most festivals have this, where it's
some form of it.
Some form of it, and basically we were talking about this, and we can kind of see both sides of it, because as someone who's putting on a festival, you don't want an artist to take away from the if they're playing before, what the fans of that artist would just go to the show that's earlier so they can see their favorite band sooner. And afterwards, if the tickets are cheaper, they'll just go see their favorite band after the festival is over. And this makes sense for bigger artists. It absolutely makes sense for bigger artists. But the thing is, bigger artists are touring and they're not playing within the same city that the festival takes place in. They're usually in another city leading up to and after the festival ends. They're usually when a big artist plays a festival, it's usually a stop on a tour where it happens. So we can totally see that aspect of it. The other side is, like we said, smaller artists just don't get the chance to it's limiting for smaller artists, and they're less inclined to sign up for a festival because of that clause. And
then you have the smaller venues having a hard time filling up their things, and then they wind up with mostly people from outside of the city coming in, which is not in itself not necessarily a bad idea, but they also want to expose some of their own talent and whatnot, and they can't do that if their own local bands aren't allowed to play anywhere for a month.
Yeah,
exactly. Actually, it was a month and a half for this particular one.
Yeah.
A month is more reasonable, but still not...
not ideal.
If that's your livelihood, you can't... It's so tough, because, working in, like, the music promotion thing ourselves, like, we tend to deal with mostly smaller artists who do have this as their livelihood. And if we do happen to have a local band, I can definitely see it from the point of view of the promoter, whereas it's really hard to sell tickets for something for a band that will be playing down at the bar, the next weekend or the weekend before even.
The weekend before is probably a lot harder because it's sooner. You're going to see your band sooner.
Exactly.
But it is a tough thing because there has to be some sort of middle. The other question that it raises is, for a bigger band, like I think what North by North, I don't know if they did away with it completely or if they just did away with it for smaller bands, but it does make sense. But where do you draw the line of a bigger band? Like, where do you start putting that?
I think when you start to do big, like at least nationwide tours, or continent-wide tours, and certainly international tours.
Yeah.
I guess it may even start if you start like maybe just crossing borders. I don't know. If you do a province-wide tour, you may still. I don't know. It's a really tricky.
Yeah.
Because if you do have a gig, even like go to Kingston or something, you're probably not going to affect the Toronto scene at all.
Right.
But then again, how many? I mean, even bands that are large enough to do a province-wide tour aren't going to be doing province-wide tours all the time. They could basically, the only thing they could do is pick their North by Northeast date and plan a tour around that to make sure that they're not in town around. And and then that you wind up with conflict or schedule conflicts and things like that.
It's a tough thing to compromise on, and I guess you would have to negotiate the contract on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this is fair, unfair? Where do you think they should draw the line between big artists and small artists, and where do you think all this could fit in? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe so you know when we post new videos. And you can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. Follow Jon on Twitter at Funky Dutch. You can check us out on at polyphonicpress.com. All those links are in the description. And that's about it. I'm Jeremy Boyd.
I'm Jon Van Dyke.
Take it easy.